My life's out there. I've been open about it. They've known about my mental health journey for years, even before I did the podcast. Do I even know what I'm doing? Do they even know what they're doing? And he got this big tattoo needle, and that was the moment I said, I screwed up. This was a bad mistake on my part. That was what saved me.
Hello, and welcome back to Retrieving Sanity with your podcast host, Keegan, and this is your podcast for recovery. Now, tonight we are joined by a man who understands that the truth isn't always pretty, but it is always necessary. Noah May is an Auburn University journalism graduate and the host of 3 podcasts, including the hard-hitting Lethal Venom. But before he was a professional storyteller, Noah was a 13-year-old boy fighting a silent war with depression and anxiety. A war that almost cost him his life while he battled suicidal ideation. He's gone from feeling like a peer group outcast to becoming a loud, unapologetic voice for anyone still trapped in that darkness. Noah, you said that you speak nothing but the truth on your show, so what's the hardest truth you had to accept about your own mental health before you could start helping others?
I think that it was something that everyone kind of dealt with and that I was not alone in. And for me, it was more of when I first got diagnosed with it, I thought I was a complete outcast. I thought no one experienced it like I did. I thought I was the only one that ever had depression, anxiety growing up. And so it was just like, I was kind of a whirlwind of like, oh, I'm part of the minority. Okay. It
Uh,
was like, here I am. No one wants to say like, oh, I deal with this too and everything. So that's one of the hardest things I learned was that secretly people had it that it didn't mind or take time to tell me about it. I just had to learn it myself. And
mhm,
so it was a lot of learning for me growing up.
mm. Man, I'm really sorry to hear that, and I can totally relate with you on the feeling of totally alone in whatever problems that we may be going through. But one thing that I also have to ask though is like whenever you got into just the journalism, was it to do mental health advocacy or was it like a different angle that you were going for and then it just turned into like oh, that's kind of what you felt like was the best thing for you?
The journalism is funny because when I first told people was going into journalism, they're like, "You're doing what?" And it's like, "You're quiet. Why are you going into that?" So here's kind of how I got into journalism. When I was a junior, my school and high school was very much like, "You need to pick a degree. You need to pick a choice." And I was just like, "I don't know what I want to do." And I watched a lot of talk shows at the time. I was like huge late night person. I liked watching daytime clips on YouTube, and I watched Ellen every time I came home from school because it was on when I came home. So I
Mhm.
had watched it, and I thought that's what I want to do. I thought that's a fun job, that's a fun career. People get to talk to others, and they get to meet celebrities and all this stuff. And I thought that's just like a fun. It was like that's a fun platform for me to go on.
Yeah.
But I thought what study is that? And so I had to do research to be like, okay, what degree do most of them have? All of them have like not the true journalistic style because they kind of get into it because of fame, because they
Mm.
were pretty much well known at the time.
Mhm.
So there wasn't really a lot, but a thing that did occur all the time was journalism. That you had to have some kind of journalism degree, and I thought, okay, we'll go with that. I picked journalism, did not change it. Obviously, the journalism degree has led to other things other than the talk show, which I kind of consider this a talk show,
Yeah.
but I don't really want to classify it as that because it's not. I don't do this in front of an audience. I don't have a group team working for me, so it's like I don't want to classify it as a talk show, but
Mhm.
it's kind of what it's technically, quote unquote, is. But
Yeah.
that's kind of what I said, focus on. I didn't change my major at all. I had a lot of people that were like, "Are you sure you want to go into it?" And I said, "Yes, you're not going to change my mind." And I was like, "I'm doing this for me." And there were times where I was like, "This was not a good decision," but I thought I'm already too far in. I'm too far in now. I can't change it now. I don't want to go to school longer than I need to. So I was
Yeah.
like, I said, I was like, yeah, if I graduate and mess up, I'd be like, I screwed up.
Mm.
I'd be like, that was my bad, but it's worked out at the end. There was a time where I thought, ooh, I really bit the bullet on that one. But
Mhm.
everything's worked out. It's been really good. But yeah, it was not more for mental health reasons. It was just more of like career decision.
Hmm. Okay. Nice. So one of the things that I've got to ask though is that whenever we're talking about like a career decision, like you said, your school was like you got to pick a degree, you got to pick a degree. That's a lot of pressure. And whenever you're in high school and stuff, that feels like the world, like if you don't get it right, kind of like what you were saying, you might as well just been like, well, what now? But whenever you're sitting there at 13 years old, it's the future didn't even seem feasible, right?
Yeah, I didn't really plan of like, I don't know what the future is going to hold because I thought, I had no idea the process of what kind of went into this.
Mhm.
I thought, do I, for talk show hosts, do you have to work in radio? Do you have to work on TV? Do you have all this stuff? It was a weird thing to go into because I think a lot of the colleges didn't have the, oh well, okay, because when I would say talk show, they're like, I don't think they're usually not prepared for someone to come in and be like, yes, I want to do that. So I was blindly put into a lot of classes. I thought, do I even know what I'm doing? Do they even know what they're doing? And it's for the longest time I was kind of lost. So I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to do whatever they do.
Mhm.
And it worked sometimes. Half the time, they were the ones that screwed up and made the poor decision on my behalf. But
Mhm.
then, on the other hand, they nailed it.
Mm.
So I don't know. There was just no preparation for it. I didn't know. I knew that it was going to be a long time
Mhm.
going. I knew that immediately after high school, I'm not going to immediately have my own show. I thought that's not going to happen. If that was, then that'd just be a miracle
Mhm.
and kind of a thing that happened. I knew that there was going to be a lot of building up, getting experience down, working somewhere, kind of getting that build a resume up
Yeah.
till it came to that. But so that was something I always had already was aware of and was like, yeah, I'm prepared. But other other than that, there was really no preparation for it. I was like, I don't know how to prepare. I was like, I don't know what the step by step guide is to this. So I kind of was just like, kind of got gone, flow in the wind. That's kind of how I was.
Yeah, I I think you hit the nail on the head right there because a lot of life seems that it's just kind of seeds in the wind, just stuff goes wherever it goes, wherever it lands. Hopefully something sprouts up from that. But that's the
Mhm.
thing, whenever you're young and you're battling depression and anxiety, it seems like that is your world right there, right? Like there was no way out of that. So how did you find your way out of that?
It took a lot of. I luckily had a mom that had gone through mental health struggles as well. She had gone through depression in her lifetime. So she was not, it wasn't a taboo thing for her. She
Okay.
knew what it was. She was prepared for it to happen if it did happen with me, but she always was like praying at night that I never had any kind of mental health struggles. It just ended up not working out that way. I ended up still getting it, but she knew how to kind of approach it to me and all and everything. So I did have support in what I was going through. I just didn't get a lot of support from my classmates and just from anyone else.
Mhm.
It was very much I was on my own. If I didn't have my mom, I would not have had anyone
Mm.
that had either was going through it then or had had a past diagnosis in it.
Mhm.
So without her, I don't know how I would have gotten it. I think I would have just managed it really because I that's what I've technically have done during this whole time has been managing it on my own.
Mhm.
But yet again, I'm like, there have been times where I've had my mom to kind of bounce off of and be like, go to talk to her. And she can kind of sense when I'm going through a bad spot. And
Mhm.
like, times I could genuinely wake up and be fine and be the happiest I am. And I go call her and I'll be like, hey, mom, what's wrong? I'm just like, I just said hello. I'm like, damn. woke up and called you and said hello. There's nothing wrong. And so she has that mindset of knowing something's wrong with me and all that. And it's good to have that, but other times I'm just like, oh my God, woman, I am fine. I am completely fine. There's nothing wrong. But she was the number one there for me growing up and was there for me during that time. I honestly don't know where I would have been if it wasn't for her. I don't want to say that I would be here. Feel like I would be, but another part of me is like that would have been very unlikely.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to say one way or another because it's already been done, right? But at the same time, it's one of those things that we'd rather not have to kind of think about because
Right.
who knows where everything would be on that end of things. And you're saying that your mother sat there and struggled with those kind of same struggles. So, do you think that genetics had a big part to play in your depression and anxiety, or was it something more along the social realms, or do you think that you've kind of figured out what caused it, or have you just been kind of hoping that it doesn't get too bad too quick?
I don't know if it is genetically influenced. We can't really. I'm trying to think. My grandmother suffered from some mental stuff as well, but it wasn't severe.
Hmm.
I'm trying to think. I think past that, we're not really too sure if it really kind of goes back in the family history. I feel like they did because every photo I've seen of them, they're like, they don't smile. They look like the most bitchy people that you ever seen in your life. That's literally how I've told people. I said my ancestors look like they could shoot to kill with their looks on their face. So it wouldn't surprise me if they did have it just because of how they've been portrayed in pictures I've seen of them.
Hmm.
Medically, it's really been my mom that's kind of had it. So I don't know. Maybe genetics might have had some kind of influence in there.
Hmm.
Socially, yeah, there have been social influences as well. I know I was bullied when I was in middle school, and that kind of had some. It probably led to that. I was bullied when I was in 5th and 6th grade, and I didn't get diagnosed with depression until 8th grade. There was probably, I bet the bullying didn't help with the diagnosis at all. It probably started egging it on.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know. Genetically, it wouldn't surprise me if it did
Yeah.
because of just kind of how my mom was, how my grandmother was. And I think my depression kind of came from just a multitude of things. I was going through a lot my 8th grade year. And I think it is all finally just was like, took its toll. I really do. I think my grandmother was sick with dementia and Alzheimer's at the time, and her health really went downhill. I was starting to get bullied at school again. My grades started flunking. My grandparents started fighting due to her sickness and illness, and
Hmm.
it was just a lot of things that kind of just came crashing down. So I think all that kind of culminated to my depression. So I think it might have been probably more socially and it's more kind of more environmentally.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think that's the word.
Yeah.
I majored in journalism, but that doesn't mean I'm good with words. That's always the joke I like to play with people. It's like, oh, I have a degree in it, can't talk. So I just make up words here and there. So environmentally might not be a word,
It
but
is.
that's what I'm going to go with.
Yeah.
And probably genetically as well. I
Hmm.
mean, it wouldn't surprise me. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, it just all really came crashing down and everything just took its toll.
Yeah. One of the things that you did mention about your grandparents or just the ancestors that possibly dealt with similar things is that they had the resting bitch face, right? So it kind of does tie into, well, whenever we think of mental health and the way that this country or most humanity really is talked about or lack of talking about mental health would portray that we don't really express how we feel. We don't show it on our face and so on and so forth, you know? And so it's one of those things that, like you were saying before, we don't necessarily know what other people are going through. And if we don't speak up about what we're going through, other people won't know either, you know, what's going on with us. So is that kind of why you started being a mental health advocate to help those that really feel lost themselves still?
Yeah, because yeah, I always hid it. I could hide my depression very well. I mean, when I tell people I was like suicidal and thought about suicide and all this stuff, they are shocked because I just thought that I was just happy kid that, and nothing was wrong with his life. And it was just so not true. It was, and I didn't say, well, y'all were the reason for it or y'all were the main cause of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I also didn't go out there and be like, oh, this is what's caused it. So I hit it very well. And yeah, I ended up becoming an advocate for it because of just how not well talked about it was. Everyone never talks about it. I think they feel embarrassed about having it. They feel like they are the minority. They're part of this like small group of people that's an outcast. No one really understands what they're going through.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to break that stereotype. I kind of broke two stereotypes. It was more like the people talking about it, but it was also like the male side of talking about it because most men did not talk about anything like that.
No.
It was very much frowned upon. People have like things when they grow up where it was like, you're the man of the house, you have no emotions at all, everything gets down, and then here I am on podcast. I have a splitter in my finger. It's just the worst day of my life. And everyone's like, Noah, you have a splitter in your finger. You're fine. But I'm the one that will come on here, sob eyes over anything. If I stub my toe before I do anything, I get on social media and cry about it. It's like, I'm the most dramatic person you'll ever meet when it comes to that. And people are like, you're fine. There's literally worse things that could have happened to you. You could have died in a car accident. You could have died from an overdose. You could have died from that. You just stubbed your toe on the dresser. You're fine. And it's just like, and so I wanted people to be not afraid to open up and be like, you know what? This is something that's human. It's common. I've seen so many people now, like a majority of my friend group now, so many of them have depression, anxiety, and any kind of mental health disorder. And I go like, where were you when I was in trouble?
Yeah.
And where were you in my teenage years when I needed people to really, really rely on? Now, the friend group I have now is 100% better than the friend group I had now and before then.
That's good.
It's just a huge 180 from what I had. When I've told about it, they feel sympathy in the moment, but I kind of found it a little bit too late at that point because it was like 4 or 5 years later, and you're just now showing sympathy and all that because I'm making like a pity post on social media about what I'm going through and just opening up, and I started getting the sorries from everyone and everything. So I was like, but yeah, I really wanted to become an advocate for it, to let people know that it is a normal conversation to have and that people are not, it's not an odd thing to have, that it's common, people do go through it, that it is normal.
Yeah. I'm really glad that you are an advocate for it because we need more men talking about just mental health in general. Because like you said, whenever I was growing up, I was taught I could be happy, angry, hungry, and horny. And that doesn't leave a lot of room for any other emotion. So, but one of the things that you said that you had people reaching out and offering their sympathies and stuff after the fact, 4 or 5 years later. And one of the things I really got to ask is, did your bullies ever say sorry for doing what they did to you? No?
No.
Damn. That sucks.
No. I think one person did, but it wasn't after I had said any of that. Majority of them, they could all
kick
go
rocks.
To hell, and I wouldn't. Yeah, they can all kick dust and anything. I don't really care too much at this point about them anymore. I've talked about them so much on the internet now, as much, and so it's just not a good thing. I firmly believe that they probably forgot about me, but I have blasted them on my podcast too. I literally have told on other interviews about them. So I mean, they're aware about my presence. I'm the only one, I think, from the class that's on social media and has my life out there on the internet. They're all private. They're all kind of have jobs that don't have them in the spotlight, where me, I'm on podcasts. I've been on 20 or 30 different podcasts. I've had recorded over 300 episodes of my own. So, I mean, my life's out there.
Yeah.
I've told it. It's pretty much out there for everyone to find.
Mm.
Anyone can literally pull up my podcast and hear my mental health story, can hear about how my classmates treated me. I mean, it's out there forever.
Mm-hmm.
So I, I really have not cared too much about what their opinions are at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I've only had one person from my school that I still talk to and that we're really good friends and we're best friends.
Mm.
Everyone else was just like deuces.
Mm.
But it was like kick rocks, dig your own grave, put you in there. And it's kind of been really good karma coming back because I think I've been the most successful one from my class that's really kind of succeeded in their career. I mean, I don't say that to be cocky and I don't really say that to be like hateful and mean.
Mm-hmm.
But I just find it humorous that they had like all these people and like we did classroom superlatives.
Mm.
And the people that they had as like most successful, no clue what they do. I literally have not heard any word from what they do. Except I think probably drink and have babies. But they that's literally has been my whole classroom now.
Yeah.
They have literally I've been working my butt up, went to college for 4 years, even had to go overtime because they messed up my classes, so I had to take an extra semester. That's a whole
What?
other thing.
Oh.
Yeah, had to do like summer classes to get everything to be able to graduate on time, and it was a struggle. But
Damn.
but now I did that, and then I've been really working hard on the podcast. I mean, edit and do everything myself, and then they're on social media getting pregnant and having babies. That's just kind of that's all I've ever seen from them has been, oh, I get married. We started dating this year, got married this year, got pregnant this year, and had a baby this year. And I'm just like, y'all don't do anything like job related? Like, honestly, I've not seen anything from academic things. I've not seen career things like buy a house, buy a home. I've not seen any of this from them.
Yeah.
And it makes me wonder, like, what did y'all do?
Mm-hmm.
I know some of them went to college and have gone to college and have graduated and all that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like they've disappeared.
Huh.
And I mean, that's just another thing for me being in the spotlight.
Mm-hmm.
They don't blast their life on social media like I do. I don't, which I probably have pretty much have blasted their life on social media, but I'm smart. I don't use names. I don't give any of that personal information out because I don't want a lawsuit.
Yeah.
I don't want a lawsuit for me. I don't want to get in trouble with them or anything.
Mm-hmm.
The only time that they have ever reached out to me was I did do a episode where I did rank them. I was like, I'm going to tell my honest opinion about them. And I messaged them. I messaged all 100 of them and said, oh, by the way, I released this episode about you.
Damn, 100?
Listen, yeah, I sent them all a message, and they all just read it. They never said anything.
Huh.
I think they were scared about what. Oh, so they've never said anything to me about it. I don't know. I'm still waiting for that day when they're messaging me like, was this directed at me? And I'm just like, yeah, you're going to do what about it?
Yeah.
So I really haven't really given the I don't give a fuck about them anymore energy at all.
Yeah.
It's just been kind of like karma coming back for them. I think I have been like the most successful, and I know people think that's real cocky, and I really don't want to sound cocky like that in a way of like, he's the most successful. He's bragging about being the most successful when they probably have worked behind the scenes to the full extent. I don't know what they do behind their phone. I just see it like they know what I'm doing because my life's out there.
Yeah.
I've been open about it. They've known about my mental health journey for years, even before I did the podcast. And I'm just out there on social media. It's been my decision to put my life out there. It's been my decision to put what I want to out there, and I don't have any regrets in it at all. Now, do I think I do go too a little far on explanation sometimes? Yes, I do, because sometimes my mouth just has no control. But that's just how I am. But I kind of went on a huge tangent. I forgot what the question was. Did I answer?
Yeah.
Did I answer the question?
Yeah, you totally did. Totally did. And don't worry about tangents. Here on Retrieving Sanity, we chase the sanity rabbit into whatever hole he runs into, and he runs into a lot on many episodes. So it's one of those things that we never know what needs to be talked about and who's going to hear a message that they're going to be like, I needed to hear that right today, So whatever you feel like talking about, it's open game. But that's one of the things too is that you're sitting there, you're putting your life out there, you're doing all this stuff, and you were on the struggle bus for a hot minute,
Mhm.
and maybe they were, maybe they weren't, but at the same time, your story is the one that is out there for others to hear. You're sitting there letting your struggles be known to let others know that they're not alone. And I think that that's commendable. I think that's admirable. So you can sit there and you can be quote unquote cocky all you want, because they're not sitting there putting their stuff out there. And if they want to be so proud of themselves, then maybe they shouldn't be bullies to you in the first place.
Yeah, I don't know. I've met some of them outside of class, even after high school, and I've had good interactions with them.
Hmm.
I don't want people to think that every student on there that I said was bad.
Yeah.
It was just a mixed bag. I
Hmm.
tell my honest opinion. I mean, I'll be honest, there were a lot of kids and a lot of my fellow classmates that I really couldn't classify our relationship.
Hmm.
And so the whole episode, I was like, I didn't expect there to be this much of like uncertainty and like not having clarification of what our friendship status is.
Mm.
I mean, some of them were straight, for sure, hated them and loved them.
Hmm.
There was a very middle ground of like, I don't really know what a relationship was. And I've had some of them did respond when I would message, and I think the main thing that they asked was kind of like, "Well, did you talk bad about me or anything like that?" And all I said was, "Well, listen to the episode and listen to yourself." I didn't blast their name on there. I literally censored all their names out.
Hmm.
I did not give them like a fake name because that would have been too much brain power to do for me. So I said their name fully on the podcast, but just went in and bleeped it out. The bleeps do kind of get a little excessive, but I think it adds humor in it. I like the censoring in there. I think it adds some kind of like it's funny because it's just it's nothing bad. It's
Hmm.
just like very spread. I like how it sounds. So and that episode in particular took me a week to edit
Mm.
because I wanted that to be the most perfect one. I listened to that whole episode, I know, about 3 or 4 times, and it
Mm.
was like 2.5 hours long.
Wow.
Or I think it was like an hour long,
Hmm.
but it was still, I had to listen to that multiple times. So it felt like 3, 4 hours in total of listening to it
Hmm.
just to make sure everything sounded right. Everything wasn't that no name was slipped out, anything to where
Uh-huh.
people would know who it was and anything. And then, which was so funny, I posted it, I was looking through my yearbook and I thought, oh, I skipped someone. I said, I said, well, oh well, they weren't important anyway, so I was like, okay. But I was mad about I said, oh, forgot one person. I thought, well, oh well.
Yeah. uh, Real quick, do you think that your struggles built that character that you have now so that you can do this kind of stuff, put yourself out in the spotlight? Because it takes a lot of courage to do that kind of stuff. And I think that I hate the saying that like struggle builds character or whatever, but it kind of is the case in my experience too. It's like if it wasn't for the hardships that I went through, I wouldn't be the person that I am now, and I definitely wouldn't have this podcast.
Right. I don't know. It's a good question to think about. Think it has built a characteristic of mine. I think I can't really think of like, well, what would life really be like if I never had bullying, if I never had mental health struggles?
Mhm.
I don't know really where I would be now. I don't know if anything would have changed differently. I
Mhm.
know mentally and all that would change, but for the podcast, for the career, I really don't know if any of that would have changed. I do think that it does kind of help give substance to what I do talk about mainly on here.
Mhm.
And I think has really led to why I have kind of the podcast, which the podcast was more kind of a not more mental health podcast, which
Mhm.
has turned into that. And, I'm not mad about that at all. I,
Yeah.
I think it is a very important discussion to have and a platform to have on there. So I'm not mad
Mhm.
about it. But it's not what I planned.
Yeah.
And another thing is, I didn't really plan to do podcasting full time is like my job.
Hmm.
This was a hobby.
Yeah.
This was like just a random hobby that popped up in my head one day
Hmm.
and was like, I want this to be kind of a free for all. I wanted it to be kind of a me thing that I did on kind of to the side.
Hmm.
So the preparedness I had for this was not the how the podcast has really gone has not been planned
Hmm.
at all. It was never meant to be that way. It
Hmm.
just kind of felt like it just kind of ended up being like that.
Yeah.
So I don't. It's really hard to tell if things were differently where I would be now.
Hmm.
I don't think that I would be as vocal as I am now. I
Hmm.
think I would still be that shy kid that really no one really heard anything from, never really put their life out there on social media and everything. I think that would have changed. But after being in journalism for a long time and talking about this, I've kind of just have made this to be, yeah, I had to do a lot of work because I was shy growing up and people thought that it was a hard thing. And it took a long time for me to break out of my shell of being able to be more open and be kind of out there for other people. And some of my friends at my community college were like, I've seen a huge change in you from when I first met you. You're
Yeah.
more open, you're more kind of outgoing and casual now.
Hmm.
You're just like this little quiet person when we first met you, and now you kind of are open, you talk more, you're able to go to places and actually be able to make friends anywhere you go, because that was always a hard thing for me.
Yeah.
So they were like, I've seen change. I can definitely see a change in you
Hmm.
about how you are, how your personality is, how you are just out in the modern world. And I thought, and I've seen it too. And, I've seen it like when I first started going to college, I never really wanted to talk to anyone because I was just so nervous and shy. And this was kind of right when my anxiety was like first getting discovered. So I
Hmm.
definitely was not going out there and opening up. My
Hmm.
shyness really kind of got more severe at that time
Hmm.
because I was like, my anxiety just was not allowing it at all.
Oof. So one of the things I have to ask is whenever it comes to like anxiety and depression though, how did you like you said you manage it and I mean, I've had my own struggles and I know that management was a lot of alcohol and it did not do good for me. So did you ever find yourself struggling with anything like that or did you actually steer clear of that dark alley?
I Well, my depression anxiety came before I could drink.
Mhm.
So I was 13 when I got diagnosed with depression, and I was 18 when I got my anxiety. So if I was drinking alcohol, my ass would have been beat. I would not be here in this chair. I would have been in the grave, dead from my mom. So see, my ass would have been beat.
Mm.
I would not be here today if I had done that.
Mhm.
There was it was difficult when I first had depression. I hate to admit it, but pornography was my coping mechanism at the time. I
Yeah.
discovered that, and it was just kind of like this huge escape, alternate reality world that I found that was
Mhm.
like, ooh, what is this? What's that? What are they doing? How you do that? And that was kind of my coping mechanism for a while. Luckily, I was able to break free from that.
Mhm.
But music and YouTube were kind of like the main forms of how I kind of escaped and was able to really make it through very challenging times. Was YouTube. I had watched YouTube since high school. I kind of was started watching it then.
Mhm.
Music was kind of around that same time as well. I actually, it's kind of amazing because I look back and I'm like, I can't really pinpoint when I heard this song. There's a lot of these like popular songs, and it's so hard for me to actually go back and be like, when exactly did I first hear this song, and when was I kind of introduced to this artist? And kind of all that period just blends together because I found so much music at one time.
Yeah.
I can't pinpoint and be like, when did I find that song? When did I hear it for the first time? And so it was just like mind boggling. It saved me a lot of times. Now, was
Mhm.
it 100% a lifesaver? No, because I would listen to sad shit when I was sad and depressed.
Mhm.
But it to me was kind of my saving grace of what I wanted to do. And it was kind of something that kept me grounded.
Mhm.
Without those two, I don't know if I would be here today if it wasn't for those two tools. I always was kind of like, okay, listen to this, and I feel a whole lot better. And then when the anxiety started, I was huge music and YouTube. That was kind of my escape.
Okay.
That was what saved me. Anything other than like drugs or alcohol, I could not hide anything. My mom would have found it, and I would be in a grave already. So I luckily did not go down the alcoholic path that most people sadly do end up going down. I was a little fortunate in that, but I don't want people to think, oh, well, then your life was easy. No, it was not. It's not easy for me. Now, looking back, do I wish I was able to drink during that time? Yeah, 100%. But I couldn't because of my situation that I was in, and it was yeah.
Yeah, I don't recommend it. I'm glad you didn't go down that road because it's a hard and it's just not worth it, in my opinion. But I'm right there with you. I've discovered pornography at a really young age, and that was my escape for many, many years until I got into substances and stuff like that. And so it's one of those things that a lot of people also don't talk about because it's like, hey, we're just going to like let this be what it is, and if someone figures it out, they can just do whatever with. It's one of those societal blind spots, if you will. I think some people think it's the worst thing ever, and then some people think it's the bestest thing ever. And I think that there's a healthy balance if you want to look at it that way, but it's balance in all things, with life. But one thing I've got to ask is that I've seen some tattoos on you. And do you do tattoos for like needle therapy? Does each tattoo have a meaning for you?
They all have meanings. Profound ones. This one's Survivor. This
Okay.
is like the newest one I got. It was like a year ago, or maybe it might have been like 2 years ago now. It might have been 2 years ago now that I got it, and the butterfly is the most recent one I got.
Nice.
So they all kind of have a meaning to it, and this one's my favorite. It has fighter. I know it's
Okay.
probably backwards, probably on your end.
Nope.
So it's
It's
oh,
right.
it's not backwards.
Nope. It's right.
Yeah. The first one I got was a cross. This was kind of like a more of a like. I was 18 when I first got it, and I didn't have to ask for my mom's permission. But of course, when you're an only child and you live with your parents still, you can't do anything without them being like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
and being the eyeball under a microscope all the time. And so I was like, "Can I go get a tattoo?" And she's like, "No." And I said, "Well, I'm 18. I technically don't have to be asking you for a tattoo. I technically can go." And she said, "Fine, you can go ahead and go." And then I was like, "I don't know. I don't know what I want to get." And it's like that meme from SpongeBob. It's like, "I don't know. I didn't think I'd make it this far." That's it was one of those moments I thought, I did not think I'd make it this far. I don't know what I want. People were shocked that I got a tattoo. It was one of those things where there were kids in my grade that got a tattoo that they wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, if I got one, whole world shuts down. Everyone messaged me and they're like,
Are you okay?
"You got a tattoo?" Like literally, we're like, "Are you okay? You got a tattoo?" And I'm like, am I not allowed to get a tattoo? I mean, I think it's the end of the world. It literally was like the huge controversy of that summer that, no, I got a tattoo. And I'm just like, y'all are so dramatic. I'm like, I also am going through anxiety and suicide at the moment, but I don't be blasting that out there. Y'all don't be worried about that. It's like y'all worried about me getting ink. I don't really find the ink to be kind of ink therapy. Now, ever since I do have tattoos, I have like need for more. Sure do. I want more as of right now, currently do. I
Yeah.
already have like ideas of what I want.
Mm-hmm.
But the survivor and the fighter were kind of related to my mental health journey of being like, I was always a fighter. I've always fought through it, and I always survived through it. The cross was just kind of like first tattoo, didn't really know what I wanted. It's my least favorite because it was really poorly done. It looks good, but the process of having it was just not good. And I think
Yeah.
I think I was a little scammy about it. I paid like $50 for it, and of course I was like, "Oh, that's nothing." And then people were like, $50, and I was like, "Is that not supposed to be that much?" They thought, and they're like, "I think you got scammed," and I said, "Well, I don't know where you were when I got it, but it's too late now." But and then the butterflies kind of in memory of my grandmother. She was really love of butterflies, and my mom and I actually have matching butterfly tattoos as well. She put color on hers. I'm more of a black tattoo person. I like all black tattoos. I'm not particularly a huge fan of the color ones on me. They look beautiful on everyone else. I love colored tattoos, just not on me. I think black kind of has more of an edgy look for some reason. So I just have a plain black butterfly. I don't have any color in it. But they all have meanings to it. I just don't get tattoos for no reason. Like, I've told people I like tattoos if I can look at it and you tell me the reason that it's there. If it's just like a random tattoo with no meaning, I'm just like, ugly. Like, that's so. Because I've seen some tattoos that are just like, what is that supposed to mean?
Yeah.
I don't understand. I fully do not understand what that tattoo means. I mean, mine you can look at and they look very basic and like easily to explain. So everyone likes them. I've not had any negative comments or like your tattoo's ugly. So I've not had that happen yet.
That's awesome. And I just gotta say, holy cow, you did your first one on your hand. Like that must have. I mean, I know what it's like to get them on the hand, and it sucks, but that's probably why you felt a little weird about it. It's also a spot where you see it every day whenever you were going about doing your thing, right?
Yeah, most people said that would hurt. That was the least hurtful one
Really?
for me.
Huh.
Yeah, and this is coming from someone that can't even stick on bare rocks without like slicing my feet. So when people said it didn't hurt, it was such a funny story because it was like, it was right when COVID happened. Everything was under COVID restrictions at the time. And everywhere that we had gone to was like either booked or they were not doing tattoos at the time. So we went to this place that we'd never really been to before, but looked like they had good tattoos. And, I wasn't looking for anything extravagant. It was just like a simple cross. Yeah. And I thought, the reason why I hate it is because I wanted it to be more on this side.
That would have hurt
so
worse.
I wanted it to be more shifted to the right. And he was like, I can only do it on top of your hand. I thought, and I've seen people with their dicks tattooed, and I can't have this on the side of my hand. I said, listen, I have literally seen tattoos on private areas, and you cannot do it on the side of my hand. I said, okay, well, we'll just put it on top of my hand. Fine, we'll satisfy your needs, not mine. And he got this big tattoo needle. And that was the moment I said, I screwed up. This was a bad mistake on my part. He had already put everything down on my hand. It was already clay. And he started, and I thought, it's one of those memes you see of people that are like,
yeah,
let go of my hand. It's like, all that. That's literally the moment I had. I feel like if I was squeezing someone's hand, I'd be like, bye. It doesn't hurt. It started hurting at the very end because I think it was just a lot. I think if it had gone on longer, it would have hurt. But for the majority of it, it didn't. When I went to it, my butterfly tattoo, he said that the person I went to has been the one that has done the remainder of them, this one and this one. So this was my third tattoo from them. So I really loved them. They were really good. I liked them. And so I found one place. Oh, yeah. And he said, I don't usually do, if you're doing a tattoo on your hand, I do not usually put tattoos on hands. And I just went, I have one on my hand right here. And he said, did we do that? And I said, no, I went somewhere else. And he said, I think he was about to get mad at one of his employees for putting it on my hand. Oh, wow. Because he was like, especially for like a first tattoo, I do not do hands at all. Because he told me that people are real picky about hands and that it's really a huge profession. With me being a podcaster now, it really doesn't matter. I could have like tattoos on my eyeballs and no one really would mind. And so, by the time I was still looking for jobs, so he was a little hesitant, but he said, if you want it on your hand, I can put it on your hand. He just said, I just don't normally like putting it on their hands, but if you want it, and I said, I'm real picky about where I want my tattoos. I'm like, if I want it on my hand, I want it on my hand. I'm not changing it. I don't know if you have this thing, but do you ever just look at a tattoo and you can just immediately feel on your body where it goes?
Yeah.
I can't. People think I'm so weird. I appreciate someone out there finally relates to me on that. Every tattoo I've gotten, I can like look at it and before I get it, I'm like, yeah, it just feels like it goes right there. It just feels right here. Yep. So all my people, I've really wanted to get a sleeve, but the problem is the words are in the way.
It's just part of a sticker slap.
So, and I'm too indecisive about a sleeve. I don't know what I would put on a sleeve. So I think people will be like, okay, no, that's a little above you for, I think the one tattoos are fine for you. The sleeves, maybe not.
Yeah.
But I kind of wanted to do a sleeve to see how people would react. I
Huh.
think it would be funny, but I don't know. But to kind of answer your question, it wasn't more like ink therapy.
Mhm.
I've kind of gotten addicted to it,
Yeah.
which anyone that gets tattoos says that you want more. When you get the first one,
Yeah.
here's like, I'm getting another one tomorrow, get another one the next day. And then 2 weeks later, they have 50 tattoos.
Yep.
Literally how it is with me.
Man, that's way too awesome. But thank you for sharing that story and actually stories because tattoos are one of those things that they tell a story or they should tell a story. And I'm glad that each one of yours carries meaning with it because it helps really just highlight what you've been through and helps maybe
Mhm.
remind you that maybe the battle isn't quite over and it's just something that you've got to keep on trudging through, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't think I've ever shown anyone on the podcast, but I have one silly tattoo. I don't know if you can see it. Probably not. That little tiny line.
I can kind of see it. I can kind of see it.
So I was getting this one at a friend's house because, but he was doing it. I had a drink in this hand and I had to scratch my nose. And so he pulled the needle away to look at the picture that he was free drawing. And I scratched my nose and it went zip. And I was like, are you kidding me? It was a squiggly line.
Uh,
And I was like, if I'm going to have a line on my finger for the rest of my life, make it straight. So he just went, "Nyeh." So I just got a little tiny line on my finger. And people think that I'm always testing a pin with it. So,
yeah, I've heard some people say that. I had one person that got like a kind of an illegal tattoo. It's someone I don't talk to anymore. Just someone I went to high school with. They had a tattoo. I want to say it was on their arm, and it was like the most poorly done tattoo I've ever seen. It
mm,
looked more like not even a needle. It looked like she had just cut it into her arm. I can't even
hey,
remember what it was. I think it was like a pitchfork, I want to say.
huh,
And it was very poorly done. It was red. It was nothing. It was just solid red ink. So
ugh,
I was like,
hmm,
so, and I think she got it done like from personally.
mm,
So she had done it that way. But yeah, I've never had accidents. Now people have been like, don't move. And I'm just like, okay.
mm-hmm,
And I don't know for you, but every tattoo I've gotten, besides my cross, I've had to lay on my stomach for.
huh,
I've had to literally lay on my stomach and had to have my arm like this.
huh.
And I can't get on my phone. I can't do anything to like kill time. I just have to lay there. And it's been every tattoo. And I'm just like, can I not sit up in a chair with my back against it for once? I thought for this one, I thought, oh, I'm going to sit on in the chair. I actually lay on my stomach and had to literally put my arm up. I was like, why do I need to lay down?
Huh.
So I feel like, I don't know. I just won't, it's weird.
Think they may be doing that because the way that the body and the skin stretches depending on how it is. Because I remember seeing someone in high school, they'd got a tattoo of like the him logo or something on their elbow, and whenever they like straightened out their arm, it got all messed up and stuff. And so it may be something like that. But for myself, no, not many tattoos I've gotten. I had to be on my stomach, but I've also got plenty of quote unquote illegal ones because people are either practicing or whatever. So
Yeah. I haven't had anyone that's like, hey, I'm testing tattoos for free. You want one?
yeah.
I'm be like, I
Eh,
don't know if I want to take you up on that offer.
yeah.
As much as I love free tattoos or would love a free tattoo, I just like,
Yeah.
I don't trust it. No, because I don't want to be the one that you mess up on.
Yeah.
I'll be like, no, I want a professional do it.
Yeah. I wish I had gotten that advice before, but what can you say to someone that really, really wants a tattoo? Real quick, where can people find you and your podcasts? Because you've got 3 of them, right?
Yes, so I am the host of Lethal Venom, which it's kind of been the center point of the whole show and kind of has been more of the mental health episode.
Hmm.
I also do have like random conversations on there. Basically, any conversation that you think can be held has been on that show
Hmm.
or is coming on that show. And I host a book podcast too, Southern Reads. I'm
Oh,
trying to get more into that one this year. I
okay.
kind of put the other two podcasts on hold because Lethal Venom just took off and was the most successful podcast that
Mhm.
it is. I recently hit 5,000 downloads
Whoa.
for Lethal Venom, which I was like, and it was also like yesterday on my birthday. So it was like a nice
Nice.
birthday surprise. I was like, best surprise for my birthday ever. So
Oh.
obviously a lot of my hard work has gone into Lethal Venom.
Huh.
And then I have a music podcast as well, Music Talks
Okay.
on there, and it focuses on music. I'm trying to get back into that one this year as well.
Okay.
And have other projects working on too, but those three are available wherever you get podcasts from.
Mhm.
It's on all the major ones: Spotify, Apple, Audible, Amazon, iHeartRadio, YouTube, Pandora. It's really anywhere. So feel free to follow it on any of those platforms there, and you'll get notified when new episodes come out.
Awesome.
So,
Yeah.
um, working on getting a public or like a custom website domain for it.
Mhm.
It's the website's coming, but yeah, the link tree for right now is a good place for people to go to learn more information about the podcast and find. It's easy, like social media links as well as on there for each one, and it's just kind of where everything's at.
Nice. Okay. Real quick, I do want to say Merry Womb Evacuation Day to the mortal plane of existence. I hope it was a good one and that you have many more to come because I did not know that yesterday was your birthday. So, congratulations on another solar return.
Thank you. I turned 24, even though I feel like I am 54.
Ah, yeah, it's weird what stress, anxiety, and depression will do to you, right?
It's weird, but it was a good birthday. It's one of my favorite ones I've had in a very long time. I was actually wasn't like going through a depressive state at the time, so it was one of the better birthdays I've had in a very long time. So it was a really special one for this year.
Yeah, that's really awesome to hear, man. I'm really glad that you got that, and I think you deserve more than 5,000 downloads for Lethal Venom, because it's one of those things that you've put so much work into it. You put yourself into it, and I'm just glad that people are starting to hear it, and I hope that they spread the word about it because we need more people talking about just anything that pertains to mental health, because a lot of people don't realize that tattoos are a mental health kind of thing. Piercings can be a mental health kind of thing because they can help relieve different things. That's why they call it needle therapy. But one of the things that
Hmm.
we just need to do is talk about it. So I'm really glad that you're helping end the stigma for mental health because it takes all of us working together to kind of do that.
Yeah, it's hard to be able to get in front of a microphone and camera and be able to share this story because it is a hard story to share.
Mhm.
But I do find a lot of comfort in being able to share it because I know people are going to relate to it. And I have had people that have reached out and been like, I'm happy that you are vocal about it, that you are open and honest about it because without that, I would not be able to be open and share what I'm going through as well. So
Yeah.
it has positives and negatives to it.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, it's a very positive because it does help other people out. So, and that's one of the main things I love about the podcast is that it's not afraid to have those honest conversations.
Because you're all about the truth on Lethal Venom, right?
Hmm.
Awesome. Well, no, we are right at the end of this episode, so I got to ask: do you think that we could see you on in the future again to see how Lethal Venom and your other podcasts are possibly doing? If you're looking forward to being back on,
I am 100% down for that. Hell yeah.
awesome. I do have one last question for you, Noah. The name of this podcast is Retrieving Sanity, and we explore how all facets of living life impact mental health, looking at the incredible motley adventures of your life. What does retrieving sanity personally mean to you today? And what's one practice or perspective you believe is crucial for anyone on that journey?
Ooh, I don't know. One thing that I would say for people is to be vocal and open about what you're going through. Don't bottle it up and keep it inside because it does eat you alive. And it will lead to severe consequences and repercussions that are not reversible. So I would say be vocal, be open and honest about what you're going through. I don't know really. I feel like a reoccurring retrieve insanity thing that I've done because it doesn't work for anyone. So I don't want to be like, oh, this is what I did because it's not going to work for everyone.
Mhm.
But I don't know, just finding something that's a hobby, something that really interests you,
Hmm.
I would say has been something that I will continue doing, is keeping my mind off of things. That's been a huge help for me. That's probably the best I can explain it without being like too like, let me sit here and think for an hour.
I appreciate that insight because you're right. What works for one person may not work for the next person. And it's all about just trying to figure out what works. And sometimes it's trial and error. So we just can't act impulsively and do something that we may end up regretting in the end. But at the same time, it doesn't hurt to think things through. Just don't overthink it, but don't underthink it either. So, with that being said, Noah, thank you for being on Retrieving Sanity, and everyone out there, thank you for listening to Retrieving Sanity on WDJY 99.1 FM. This has been Keegan. This has been Noah. And we will see y'all in the future. But remember, you got to love yourself. Try to love others if you can. But you got to love yourself first. If you're having any mental health crises, you can dial 988 if you want to talk. You can dial and text 741-741. Otherwise, and if you're in the LGBTQ plus community, you can dial the Trevor Project up in Canada, and they'll be able to help you out too. So with that being said, everyone out there, stay safe, much love, and we'll see you soon.